India changes the rules of the game, punishes cross-border terrorism. India hits out at terrorists in Kashmir before terrorists can strike. The Indian Army crossed the line of control late last night and hit out at 7 terrorist training camps in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. India has hit out at terror training camps before, but never like this. The Indian Army has carried out punitive surgical strikes, and that is the big story we're breaking here on India Today. The Army has carried out punitive surgical strikes across the line of control at 7 different locations late last night. The Indian Army's special forces went in, killed terrorists, destroyed infrastructure, including weapons. Now, each target was very carefully chosen to send a strong message to Pakistan's military jihad complex, and that is our top focus story on the broadcast. India's aim was to damage Pakistan's capabilities to strike India. This wasn't a symbolic strike. I'm Gaurav Sawant. The Indian Special Forces crossed the line of control, went into Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, destroyed terrorist training camps, killed terrorists, picked up weapons, came back unhurt. Pakistan is now flapping. Pakistan initially said no strike took place. Then Pakistan said that they will give India a befitting reply for these terror strikes. Now Pakistan is holding a special meeting. Pakistan's Prime Minister is saying that their restraint should not be seen as Pakistan's weakness. Clearly, the rules of the game have changed. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's striking speech at the BJP's National Council meeting, where he said that India will avenge the perpetrators of the Uri terror strike. Days after that strong message, the government has walked the talk. This was an operation that was meticulously planned and executed. It's inflicted heavy losses on Pakistan's military jihad complex. Our Defense Bureau with this India Today special report.
18th of September, shock, anguish, and then outrage swept India. The death of 19 soldiers weighing on every conscience.
पाकिस्तान के हुक्मरान सुन ले, हमारे 18 जवानों का बलिदान बेकार नहीं जाएगा.
Just one statement by the Prime Minister and then silence. Unprecedented for Indian leaders. But something was cooking, because exactly 10 days after the dastardly act, India retaliated. And the result was the biggest military retaliation of its kind since Kargil in 1999.
Based on very specific and credible information which we received, the Indian Army conducted surgical strikes last night at these launch pads.
Last week, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the heaviest hitters of Indian state assembled together. On 20th September, the Prime Minister spent 90 minutes at the nerve center of the Indian Army, a war room deep in the bowels of the Defence Ministry just east of Rashtrapati Bhavan. Also present were Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar, Army Chief General Dalbir Singh, Air Chief Marshal Arup Raha, Naval Chief Admiral Sunil Lamba, DGMO Lieutenant General Ranbir Singh, and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. In this top-secret room, the Prime Minister was given extensive briefings on intelligence, shown 3D sand model of the POK, and given the lowdown of possible scenarios. Interestingly, 225 Indian soldiers were in major military exercise with their counterparts in Ranikhet till just 2 days ago. And the United States seemed to be in the know of things, with National Security Advisor Susan Rice calling her Indian counterpart Ajit Doval early this morning. Bureau Report, India Today.
Joining me now on the broadcast, and we'll have a very strong guest lineup from India and Pakistan. But I want to quickly go to Brigadier Gurmeet Kanwal. He's a noted strategic affairs analyst. He's commanded his brigade at the line of control. He joins us on the broadcast. Also with me is BJP's GVL Narasimha Rao. Welcome on the show, gentlemen. Brigadier Kanwal, you've been a very strong advocate of India teaching Pakistan military jihad complex a lesson. Is that what India has done today? Take us through contours of what the plan was and what the message is for Pakistan.
Gaurav, let me begin by complimenting the Government of India, the Cabinet Committee on Security, for the firm display of national resolve after a very long time. In fact, for the second time in 70 years, for the second time since 1971 war with Bangladesh, we have displayed a firm national resolve. And compliments also to the Special Forces teams that stuck across the line of control. You asked about the contours of the action. It would be by infiltration, Special Forces teams infiltrating through gaps on the line of control on the Pakistan side, going in deep, hitting at terrorist training camps on the other side of the line of control, and coming back after doing their bit, all in one action, one night, the complete action being completed in one night. That is how the contours would be.
And not at one location, Brigadier. They've done that at 7 different locations. You've served in this area where this operation has taken place. What kind of planning would have gone in an operation like this, that multiple teams go inside Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, strike deep, hit them, hurt them, come back unscathed?
The DGMO said on the 18th of September that we will strike back at a point and time and a place of our choosing. And we have done exactly that after thorough preparation. It is display of professionalism of the highest order on the part of the Special Forces of India.
Okay.
It is extremely difficult terrain through which they have infiltrated, keeping away from the Pakistani posts, and there is a route in of infiltration and there is a route out for counter-infiltration after blowing up the terrorist training camps. And as you said, it's been done at several places on the line of control deep inside.
And this strike is not symbolic, Brigadier Kanwal. The fact that it started at Kale, it's come to, Tattapani or Hot Spring, at Bimbar. What are these places? Because you know this area very well. Is it just a symbolic strike, or is there a bigger message for Pakistan's military jihad complex?
There is a clear and firm message to the Pakistan Army and the ISI and the organizations like the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed, whom they sponsor, nurture and encourage to launch strikes, terrorist strikes in India, to lay off. Enough is enough. Our red lines have been crossed, and next time the response will be of a greater severity and intensity.
Okay. GVL Narasimha Rao, as Brigadier Kanwal said, compliments to the Cabinet Committee on Security and the Armed Forces that they've done this. But has this been well thought out? Because Pakistan says they will retaliate. They claim that they have been retaliating, GVL Narasimha Rao.
There have been contradictory statements coming from Pakistan since morning. So let them first formulate a coherent response. I think what India had done last night was to make preemptive strikes to ensure that our borders and our territory is safe and secure, and we do not let anyone to infiltrate into our territory and impose costs of terrorism on us. So this is a very clear signal that India will do everything possible to ensure that its borders and its territory and its people are safe. So this is a counter-terrorist operation, and as our DGMO stated very clearly this morning, the kind of casualties that we have inflicted on these terrorists is of a phenomenal order. Pakistan can continue to remain in denial. So I think that's how it has been their response always. Okay. But our reports from the DGMO, our details from DGMO are highly credible, and this is what the whole world believes has happened last night.
But what will happen tonight, what will happen over next several days and weeks, because Pakistan will not take this lying down. You know, like we've been saying, Brigadier Kanwal, every country has an army. In Pakistan, the army has a country. But why did India do this? Let's now take our viewers back a little. There was a terror attack in Uri. 18 of our soldiers were killed, but that wasn't the only terror attack that has taken place. When Prime Minister Narendra Modi took over, there was an attack that took place in Herat in Afghanistan at the Indian consulate. There was an attack on Jalalabad. There was an attack on Udhampur. There was an attack on Gurdaspur. There was an attack in Pathankot. So Pakistan was constantly sending a message to India. India constantly wanted peace. Pakistan was killing our people. A response had to be given. This was planned, well thought out, and well executed. And from what my sources tell me, that India has thought out of what Pakistan's response can be and how India will respond to that, and India comes out on top of that escalation ladder. I'll get Brigadier Gurmeet Kanwal to comment on that, but first let's take a look at this report.
Exactly 10 days after the terror attack in Uri. Exactly 10 days after 18 soldiers were killed in the worst terror strike on an army camp in 26 years, India has hit back. Late last night, even as the country peacefully slept, hardened commandos from the nation's para-forces swept down on 6 terror camps across the LOC, delivering a hard blow to Pakistan.
The Indian Army conducted surgical strikes last night at these launch pads. During these counter-terrorist operations, significant casualties have been caused to the terrorists and those who are trying to support them.
You heard it correct. India hit back hard in a rare cross-LOC operation to avenge the dastardly killings in Uri.
It is India's intention to maintain peace and tranquility in the region. But we can certainly not allow the terrorists to operate across the line of control with impunity and attack the citizens of our country.
Pakistan-backed terrorists have been testing Indian patience for too long, and Uri seemed to be the last straw.
और पाकिस्तान के हुक्मरान सुन ले, हमारे 18 जवानों का बलिदान बेकार नहीं जाएगा.
India walked the talk. Our army commandos annihilated terror bases. In Bhimber, Kail, Lipa and Hot Spring in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The message, bold and clear: India will not tolerate Pak terror any longer. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, the army carries out a series of war games where you get into the mind of the enemy. You react, you act. Point A, enemy responds. Then what do you do? What does the enemy do? And let me bring in Brigadier Gurmeet Kanwal. We also have BJP's GVL Narasimha Rao. The Congress will join us in just a moment. Brigadier Kanwal, Pakistan hit us. The Pakistani terrorists have hit us repeatedly. This was India's response. Now, if you were to war game it, what would Pakistan's response be, Brigadier?
Let me begin by saying, Gaurav, that very gradually but perceptibly, the contours of a national level, comprehensive, well-formulated counter-proxy war strategy have begun to emerge. It is multi-pronged and there is a clear political aim. And to me, that appears to be to raise the cost for Pakistan to wage its proxy war and eventually make it prohibitive. There is the military option that has been exercised last night. There is a range of diplomatic, economic and political options that have already begun to be exercised. As far as the enemy's response is concerned, Pakistan Army will retaliate. They will also attempt a trans-border raid on Indian army positions, well, I'm sure the army is ready for them and they will be taken on when they attempt such a thing. Meanwhile, there will be violations of the ceasefire line, artillery firing, some mortar firing. They will try and infiltrate more terrorists. They will try and wake up their sleeper cells inside Jammu and Kashmir to launch acts and incidents of terrorism. This is the range of options available to the Pakistan army.
Okay, GVL Narasimha Rao, is the government prepared for all of this? Has the government thought the response through, and are we on top of the escalation ladder?
No, absolutely, Gaurav. I think this government and Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi have shown the resolve that we will do everything possible. We will do everything to protect our country, to ensure our national security. And I'm sure this message has gone loud and clear. We have waged a diplomatic war on terrorism on all global platforms. Prime Minister was was actually informing the whole world and created a sort of a consensus already. This was the kind of a diplomatic success that was required before taking any actions of this nature. Today, you have not seen any nation responding to this, because they all know that we are a peace-loving country.
Yes.
We are never an aggressor, but we cannot keep our hands tight if terrorists come from across the border and start inflicting damage on us. We are not going to let go. We are not going to allow this to continue any further. So
Brigadier
this
Kamal,
is a strong
are
signal,
we on top
and
of the
this has
escalation
become
ladder at
possible
every
also
stage? And does this mean that the rules of the game have changed forever? Because if Pakistani terrorists strike in India, India will hit back at Pakistan's military jihad complex at the LC.
The DGMO said very clearly that we have no wish to escalate. The strikes that were launched last night were, in my view, very carefully calibrated not to escalate any further than the strikes themselves. We are on top of the situation. We have a carefully formulated strategy, and yes, we are dictating terms to the Pakistan army for the time being.
But it's a very unpredictable army. It's an army that is very rattled at this stage. So how will its response could be completely something that we don't predict? Can we read their mind, General? Because if we play by the rules, Pakistan plays by no rules, sir.
Gaurav, the Pakistan army is facing an immense dilemma. If they admit the special forces raids through the line of control and try and paint India as an irresponsible country, then they have to show to their own nation that they have done something big in return. If they do not admit the trans-border raids that have been LOC raids that have been carried out last night by the special forces, then they do not have to immediately retaliate. So they face a dilemma, and they have chosen the lesser option of not admitting that the trans-LOC raids were carried out by India's special forces through the line of control.
Okay. Shama Mohammed of the Congress Party also joins me. And Shama, 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks took place. A series of other terror attacks took place. Was this an option that could have been exercised earlier, or was this the right time for this option in the Congress Party's opinion?
First and foremost, I would like to congratulate our army, our soldiers, who I salute them for today, what they have done. You know, it's not an airstrike. They had to get into POK, and that's not an easy thing. They could have been killed, because an airstrike is easy. So yes, we have to congratulate them. We have to salute our army, and also, of course, the government for taking such a strong and bold step. But you see, after 26/11, we also wanted to get into the terror camps. But the issue was we did not have intelligence. You know, the Air Force wanted to get in, wanted to go in for airstrikes, but we did not have enough intelligence on where exactly the terror camps were. So we had to abort that. Then they wanted to do covert operations also at that point of time, but we couldn't do that. Again, the Intelligence Bureau said that we do not have enough of intelligence for that, because there would be collateral damage, you know, women, children. So we did not want to do that. And also, you must understand that 2008, you see, times are changing, was the economic recession all over the world. So that also, if we escalate into a war or whatever happens, you know, that affects us. So there were various reasons during that point of time, and we do not need to compare today, 26/11, to what happened today. every decade, every time is different from the other. I mean, we could go back to 1971, how Mrs. Indira Gandhi went into, we could, every decade is different.
Oh, absolutely.
So
what Indira Gandhi did in 1971 was spectacular.
Mrs. Gandhi, yes, 1971.
There is no denying that fact.
Yes, we got independence. Can I finish? We got independence for Bangladesh. So yes, we don't want to make it a day between Congress Party and BJP. We are all one today. We are going to behave like Indians attacking Pakistan. Pakistan has to be taught a lesson. Time and again, we have been very resilient with the Pakistanis. We've been quiet. We have taken a lot, and it was time to give it back to them.
So that era of Kadi Ninda is over. Now, if there is Pakistan's military jihad complex and India has evidence of Pakistani terrorists at the LC, India will respond, because according to what the Director General of Military Operations said, these terrorists were waiting to strike. So this isn't a retaliatory strike. This actually is a preemptive strike. And does that mean that the rules of the game have changed? Big preemptive strike across the line of control. 7 terrorist training camps in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir hit. At least 38 to 40 terrorists killed in this operation. Indian soldiers returned unhurt. How is Pakistan reacting to it? Remember, 2 days ago, Khwaja Asif, Pakistan's defense minister, was saying Pakistan's nukes are not ornamental pieces. Today, he could barely speak. Pakistan is speaking in multiple voices. Let's listen in to reactions in Pakistan. I'll get you much more on what's happening on ground.
Nine months after Prime Minister Modi's surprise peace overture in Lahore, the kid gloves are off. Pakistan caught napping by the surgical strikes of the Indian Army. Amid the diplomatic saber rattling, India's move stunned Pakistan. First came the bravado. Nawaz Sharif warned India of a military response to what he called unprovoked and naked aggression. Then came the confusion. General Raheel Sharif met the Pakistani Prime Minister and told him that there were no surgical strikes. But he too warned India of retaliation.
और इंशाल्लाह ताला अगर फिर उन्होंने कोई खिलाफ वर्जी की, लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल की या सीज फायर को लाइन को वायलेट किया या सीज फायर को वायलेट किया, तो पाकिस्तानी अफवाज जो हैं उसका मुंह तोड़ जवाब देंगी.
For its own public, the Pakistani army had a different brief, downplaying India's LOC action as a mere ceasefire violation across the line of control, a violation that claimed the lives of 2 army soldiers. But Pakistan's National Security Advisor Nasir Janjua gave the game away. He bragged about Pakistan's preparedness, virtually admitting that his country was breached. Pakistan's opposition, meanwhile, was busy with their own politics.
ये जो जिस तरह की आवाजें आ रही हैं नरेंद्र मोदी की गवर्नमेंट से, जरूरी है कि कौम सारी इकट्ठी हो और इंशाल्लाह एक भरपूर तरीके से वो जवाब दूंगा जो अब तक नवाज शरीफ नरेंद्र मोदी को जवाब नहीं दे सका, वो इंशाल्लाह आप कल जवाब सुनेंगे.
India's sudden strike, 11 days after the Uri attack, has left the Nawaz government rattled. India's message that the days of restrained diplomacy are over has hit Pakistan where it hurts. Bureau Report, India Today.
Fawad Hussain Chaudhry is former advisor to Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. He joins us from Pakistan. Also with me is Ambassador Veena Sikri, former top diplomat in the Ministry of External Affairs. Fawad Chaudhry, to you first. How is Pakistan reacting to what's happened, this surgical strike by the Indian Army to take out 38 terrorists?
Okay, for just one correction, I'm not advisor to Nawaz Sharif Saab. I was advisor to Prime Minister Gilani. Okay, now coming to the question. Well, I don't know. You consider that the helicopters at the matchboxes or something which crossed through Pakistan did an action and went back, and no one in the world, no radar system in the world captured them. It's only the Indian audience maybe is that you can say naive to believe on Indian claims, because no one in the world, even if you see CNN, BBC, all the whole of the international media, no one has given even two-liner coverage to Indian DGMO press conference, because everyone knows that it's just a rhetoric. And I
Okay,
think
you
it's
say
just
it's rhetoric. We'll try and there's an audio glitch in your conversation, but there was no evidence of Osama bin Laden. There was no visual. There was no picture of Osama bin Laden being killed either. But that doesn't mean Osama bin Laden wasn't killed in Pakistan. But Ambassador Veena Sikri, what are diplomatic options for Pakistan at this stage? It is in denial, and that's understandable. But what are Pakistan's diplomatic options?
First of all, I must say that the Indian Army has done a wonderful job, and they have planned it very carefully. They have taken action of the right kind at the right time, simultaneously on so many different camps. And this is, as you said, Gaurav, a preemptive strike, because these camps had people who were waiting to cross over, who were with their handlers, who were with their equipment and material, and they would have come in to do mayhem in India. So I think that this is something that the world will recognize, that it is very calculated, very restricted, very specific, very pointed. Razor sharp pointing, no general attack on anything, just these camps, because we know that in this year the camps and the crossovers of the terrorists has increased manifold, and the army has been suffering, Jammu and Kashmir has been suffering, the rest of India has been suffering. It's a huge increase in this year, and we know that after the recent
diplomatically, can Pakistan do anything?
I think, of course, they can. They are in denial. So what can they say if they're denying it? What can they talk about? But I think that even if they try to raise it with anybody, no country would ever, even in China, if you look at even the special envoy of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, he went to China, but he could only meet the deputy foreign minister. He didn't even meet the foreign minister, was not even received at the foreign minister's level. And he was given a general reply that yes, okay, fine, what you're saying, but you know, you must talk. So it is quite clear that China is not going to take any side, despite whatever Pakistan may say. I think that America too.
Ma'am, for a moment, I quickly want to cut across to the line of control, and these are images of celebrations that are taking place at the line of control. You have Jawans who are celebrating a big victory. Let's for a moment dip in and listen in to celebrations. This is not just Uri avenged. This is something bigger. This is a preemptive strike. Let's for a moment dip in and listen in. Reason to celebrate. We've suffered casualties, but amidst casualties, and this is something that the army knows well. When a soldier falls, there is the last post, but there's also the rouse, because you rise again to fight, to win. But GVL Narasimha Rao, what will you say to Fawad in Pakistan, who says this is a figment of India's imagination? There's been no loss of life in Pakistan occupied Kashmir.
Gaurav, I think Pakistan has always been in denial about everything. They did not even accept that terrorists who were captured live in India and about whom evidence was given, they never accepted that these people were Pakistanis. Case of Kasab is a case in point. I think even Kasab they did not accept to be a Pakistani. They've always lied about Dawood Ibrahim's whereabouts. So I think this is a country that has never accepted what was publicly known, and therefore Pakistan's statements today need not be taken very seriously. Nobody takes them seriously, and their statements seem very contradictory.
Fawad, explain why have Pakistan's statements been so contradictory? One thing in the morning, one thing in the afternoon, and one thing in the evening, Fawad, if you can hear me.
Yeah, please say again.
Why such contradictory statements from Pakistan?
I don't think so there's any contradictory statement from Pakistan. Pakistan is very consistent in its stance. Pakistan wants Kashmir issue to be resolved from day one. Pakistan is saying that come on, have a bilateral negotiations. It's India that really don't know what to do, and especially the Prime Minister Modi. Prime Minister Modi is running I think the world's most confused leader right now. We don't know what
I mean, considering you've just lost 38 terrorists and 2 soldiers, and your own defense minister has conceded 2 soldiers were killed, 9 were injured, and very soon you'll have evidence in public domain. You wouldn't know where to look for a country, Brigadier Kanwal, that claims to have nukes, that was showing off 48 hours earlier that their nukes are not ornamental. Pakistan looks pretty nonplussed today. They don't have a response, Brigadier Kanwal, in multiple voices. What does this indicate, sir? Are they flapping like headless chicken? Is there a problem in Pakistan?
The state of confusion is understandable since the government and the army do not see eye to eye with each other. The army runs the state and the country, so that they have not coordinated their response. Like I said a short while ago, they find themselves on the horns of a dilemma if they admit that the Indian Special Forces infiltrated through the line of control, raided terrorist training camps successfully and went back again across the line of control, then they are forced to respond in a similar manner, do something big to show to their countrymen that they are equally capable. If they do not admit it, they can lie low for the time being. So there is massive confusion in the Pakistani response diplomatically for the time being.
Okay, and which means Ambassador Sikri, they perhaps didn't even anticipate India could do something like this. We've not done it in the past and at this scale. So diplomatically, what can Pakistan do if it doesn't even admit that a raid took place where they've lost soldiers?
I think the key point is that India today has a diplomatic advantage because number one, India has walked the talk. And India has shown that it has the courage to walk the talk. Because in previous cases, we've seen so many other cases, including 26/11 in Mumbai, where we talked what to do and did nothing. And then again resumed talk. So it had become a bit of a joke. And in fact, we had some colleagues who were in London and saying the people there were talking terribly that of course India will do nothing again. So I think India's seriousness of purpose in countering terrorism, I think this is the fact that India is countering terrorism, is preempting against whom? Against who are coming into India, who are non-state actors, and with the support of the army of Pakistan. That's number one point. And I think the support within India is also huge. For example, I think on India's decision not to attend the SAARC summit, even Ratan Tata has tweeted that he supports it fully and he thinks it's the correct thing to do. So I think this kind of wholehearted support, even on the Indus Waters Treaty, India decided to act within the letter and spirit of the treaty. They're saying whatever we can do within the treaty, we will do it and make sure it comes to India's advantage and to the advantage of the people of J&K because they are suffering from the loss of water and electricity. So I think some combination of these factors is very good. Definitely India advantage diplomatically, militarily and otherwise.
Oh, outstanding. And Shama, is the Congress on the same page with the government on this entire national resolve, in this entire gamut of options, whether it's Indus Water Treaty, whether it's talking of withdrawing the most favored nation status, whether it's military options? Is the Congress with the government on everything?
Of course, we are with the government. In fact, we are the ones who had stated that a few days back there was a press release saying that we want the most favored status, nation status removed. Why should we give it to Pakistan? Of course, we are in the government. Today, we are talking in one voice. Now, the other two things which I would like to tell is that we need to give Bukti asylum, just like they give Dawood asylum there. The other thing we need to do is revive NCTC, which Mr. P. Chidambaram wanted after 2008, because that is very important. If you look at Uri, if you look at Pathankot, they're all fortified areas where due to intelligence and operational failure, these people, the terrorists have entered. Why can't we improve our intelligence? And for that, we need one body which controls where the states give their intelligence to the IB.
Okay.
So if we have the NCTC, we could have all the intelligence given together. Can I just finish, please? We could all get the intelligence together. And that's one thing Mr. P. Chidambaram and the Congress party has wanted, for a long time. And of course, it has been stalled. And I would advise the government of today to, get this done, because intelligence failure was one of the most important factors. Uri was an intelligence failure and an operations failure. GVL Narasimha Rao. And also Pathankot, which was told to us in December by the US. And then we had the SP telling us also one day before.
Okay, Brigadier Kanwal also hasn't had up, but GVL Narasimha Rao, you go first.
Today, Gaurav, today I think is not a day when we really want to spar on political lines. I think our armed forces, Honorable Prime Minister, they deserve congratulations for taking this bold step and doing this very successfully with the support of with the entire world being informed about it. And I see this a success on several fronts. It's because of our diplomatic successes and PM's Prime Minister's global leader stage and position that has really helped us really carry out this operation.
Okay.
We've already been successful in isolating Pakistan in SARC. We've also been talking about Pakistan as a global sponsor of terror at all forums, and the world has come to accept it now. But we have taken the first step, and Pakistan will simply is unable to even
Gaurav,
respond
I need just
and
1
react,
second, please.
both diplomatically and otherwise.
Okay, Fawad,
Gaurav,
Pakistan isolated diplomatically.
Gaurav,
4 countries have backed out of SARC in Pakistan. That's a huge, huge diplomatic slap on the face of Pakistan. Fawad.
First, India invented its own definition of isolation, as today they have invented their own definition of surgical strikes.
Fawad, no electricity in Pakistan. I'm so sorry. Your face is suddenly dark. Fawad, is there no electricity?
USA praised Pakistan on terrorism and the Azov operation that Pakistan army has launched. Then you went to Russia and requested them to cancel the military exercises. They refused you. China said that offensive against Pakistan.
Fawad, sorry, we are unable to see you. Okay, there was no electricity in Pakistan. Is that it? So probably you'll have to wait for electricity before you can think about how you will take on India diplomatically. Is that what is going to happen in Pakistan? Because Brigadier Kanwal, this appears to be. Has there been a total change in the way India will deal with Pakistan from this point on, whether it's diplomatically, whether it's militarily, whether it's economically? Brigadier Kanwal, have the rules of the game changed forever?
Absolutely, Gaurav. 2 things have happened today. We stand united as a nation. We stand united as a people. We stand united with our heads held high. On the other hand, Pakistan stands alone in splendid isolation. In isolation in the South Asian region, it stands alone in isolation in the rest of the world, whereas we have the support of the international community. The rules of the game have changed completely. India is ready and willing to strike. We have shown national will, and for the first time in many decades, and we have shown national resolve. We have shown professionalism of the highest order. Any more acts of terrorism will be met with force until we bring to a halt Pakistan's proxy war. We make it too prohibitive for them to continue to wage it.
Okay, because the fact remains, Pakistan remains in denial. Pakistan remained in denial in 47-48, in 65, in 71, in Kargil, post 26/11, post Pathankot, post Uri, and even today. So it's a country that remains in denial constantly. So how will change come? Ambassador Sikri, does India have a game plan? Because Pakistan will remain in denial throughout.
India's game plan is to continue its fight against terror, against all manifestations of terrorism, and to continue the fight directly against Pakistan. We have shown the capability of doing that. Continue the fight in the region. We have shown that because we have support of the region in the case of the SARC cancellation. Do that globally. We have taken up this comprehensive convention on international terrorism in the UN. So on all fronts, we are getting the support because everybody is suffering from this same problem of terrorism.
Absolutely.
France, USA, Belgium, UK, everywhere. So today the situation is very different because every country has suffered, has lost individuals to absolutely random violence and cruel terrorism of the worst kind, the Islamic State. In Kashmir, we have the Islamic State trying to take over.
Yes.
I mean, how can the people
and
of India
Pakistan sponsored.
Exactly.
Pakistan
Coming
sponsored.
With that.
Fawad, understand, it's not just India. It's Afghanistan that is hitting out at Pakistan-sponsored terror. It's Bangladesh that's hitting out at Pakistan-sponsored terror. It's the United States that's saying, and just this morning, Susan Rice, America's national security advisor, said Pakistan needs to crack down on terrorists. Will Pakistan do that in your opinion?
Well, if Brigadier Kanwal is here, I want to make a request to Brigadier Kanwal that please take all these media anchors of yours to LOC.
Fawad, I asked you a specific question. Don't deflect. Fawad, Don't deflect. The world is sick of Pakistan-sponsored terror, Fawad. I've asked you a question, a specific question. Hindi mein पूछूं, Urdu में पूछूं, फवाद, अफगानिस्तान हो या बांग्लादेश हो, सभी बोल रहे हैं पाकिस्तान से जो आतंकवाद आ रहा है, टेररिज्म जो आ रहा है पाकिस्तान से, उससे वो बहुत दुखी हैं. अमेरिका ने बोला go after terrorists. Fawad, will Pakistan crack down on terror? You're on ground. Will Pakistan crack down on terror?
Mr. Modi has the audacity to call someone terrorist. वो शर्म है, वो grace है. I mean, the person who has killed thousands.
Oh, clearly, Fawad, you're living in denial, and perhaps that is what explains Pakistan living in denial. Fawad, forget it. You will suffer. You've lost 140 children in Peshawar. You still haven't. Pakistan still hasn't learned its lessons. And what India needs to be aware of is the threat, is a clear threat. Intelligence agencies are now warning that there could be a retaliatory strike. The army and the BSF are on a state of high alert across the line of control because there could be retaliatory strikes from Pakistan, whether it's artillery strikes, whether it's border action teams, the bad action teams of Pakistan, or it could be Pakistani terrorists or their sleeper cells within the country. Now, the Indian Air Force has also increased the number of operational readiness platforms. We bring you this report.
Soldiers at the line of control and on the border with Pakistan have gone on high alert, fully expecting a knee-jerk reaction from the neighbouring country. The spotlight is on BSF and the Indian Army after the overnight adventure into POK. Also in the focus are villagers close to the LOC, who are now part of the front against Pakistan.
98 में शीलिंग हो रही थी. उस वक्त एहतियात ये था कि गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से कुछ बैंकर्स मिले हुए थे. लोगों को की शीलिंग होगी, उसके अंदर जाते लोग अंडरग्राउंड थे. वो 2005 में जब अर्थक्वेक हुआ तो उसमें खत्म हो गए. वो इवन कि इस्लामाबाद के लोग भी निकल रहे हैं, क्योंकि इस्लामाबाद तो बिल्कुल एक साइड से तो इस्लामाबाद 2-3 किलोमीटर की दूरी पे है गवर्नमेंट साइड से. हमें लगता है कि शायद ये शायद इंडिया जंग करेगा और हमें सबसे ज्यादा नुकसान हमें ही होगा.
हम तो अमन चाहते हैं. हम ये चाहते हैं कि बातचीत के जरिए मसले हल हों.
In Punjab, a high-level meeting was held today after the centre suggested that houses within 10 kilometers of international border be evacuated. Even the traditional beating retreat ceremony at Wagah border were called off. Meanwhile, the western border from Gujarat to Rajasthan is also on high alert. Security has been stepped up in Ahmedabad with the CRPF joining the city police in sanitizing the area. IAF is mounting air patrols across the northern and western border. The locals have also been roped in, asked to keep an eagle eye on the goings on their area.
In these areas, it is the tension that has been prevailing ever since this. There has been a escalation in the violence between the two sides on line of control. With cameraman Tariq, Shujaul Haq in Uri for India Today.
Is this a new template, Ambassador Sikri? Should there be terrorists across the line of control, India will strike again and again. Is this a new template?
Definitely a new template, and I think all the people of India must support the government in its efforts, the decisiveness of Prime Minister Modi and the courage that he has shown in doing this, and to take it to the international community as part of India's contribution to counter-terrorism.
Yes.
Get the support of the world community, get the support of our neighbours, which we already have.
So, Brigadier Kamal, closing comments. Is this the new template? If we see terrorists across, whether it's our army or our air force, they will strike?
Absolutely. We have a range of options. We have many arrows in the quiver. We will take these out one by one on all fronts: military, diplomatic, political, economic, and various others.
Okay.
Yes,
and
there is a new template. A new game is in play from today.
A new game in play from today. Shama, closing comments. Congress stands with the government on dealing with Pakistan-sponsored terror.
We stand wholeheartedly with the government of India, with the army. And I just want to correct GVL. We are with the government, with the army today. There's no tutu meme. I just spoke about the national security.
The national security scenario at this stage. Shama, Ambassador Sikri, Brigadier Gurmeet Kanwal, GVL Narasimha Rao and Fawad in Pakistan. For the moment, many thanks for joining me. And Fawad, this is one message that every Pakistani should take home today. This country now stands united on Pakistan-sponsored terror. There is a new template in place. Should there be Pakistani terrorists seen, India will retaliate, whether it's at the line of control or elsewhere. We'll continue to track that story very closely.